this video, we're going to talk about how to bounce back from your drawing mistakes like a pro. So here's the thing. Every artist, no matter how skilled and experienced, is going to experience setbacks and mistakes. I mean, this is just a natural part of the process. But it's how you respond to those mistakes that truly makes the difference. You can allow them to pull you down and hold you back, or you can see them as an opportunity to learn and grow. In this video, I'm going to share with you an experience that I had while actually filming a course. And in this case, it would have meant losing hours of video as well as the drawing right near the end of the course. So let's take a look at what happened. This tutorial is taken from my new Patreon course called Colorful Mixed Media Portraits. So every once in a while, life's going to throw you a lemon. And that's what happened to me the other day. I had just finished wrapping up filming the last section of the course, and I ended up in my kitchen preparing dinner. A few minutes later, I got a knock on the door, and it was a big delivery of a bunch of equipment that my husband had ordered, so the two of us became immediately distracted. We were moving all over the house, putting things in place, and somehow in that process, I ended up back in the studio, and when I walked past the work that I had been doing, I went, you know, I think I just want to change that little, and I picked up my pencil and I went over and I started working on the thing and made that little change. And when I went to pull my hand away from the work, it was stuck to the drawing and it kind of popped off. And when I looked, there on my knuckle, right there, was a blob of some sticky, greasy thing that I had picked up in the kitchen when I was working in there earlier. So once I got through my initial, shock and horror of what had just happened, I just went, okay, calm down. What can we do here to salvage this situation? And I decided to keep it in the course as a lesson because stuff like this does happen. Kids get into studios, accidents happen, things fall on the floor, whatever. And we end up with a damaged piece or something that doesn't quite go the way we want it to. So the question becomes, how do we deal with a situation like that? How can we find a workaround to salvage the work and not get all discouraged in the process? Okay, so there it is, the big greasy spot on the hair. All I can say is thank God it was in the hair and not on the face. Otherwise, that's it. It would have destroyed the drawing. So now I'm going to make an attempt to fix it. So I'm going back to my blue Rembrandt chalk and I'm just going to start piling it on here. Doing my level best to just disguise this sucker and figure something out. So, but I noticed as I was piling it on, it disguises it to a degree, but then it starts to show the chalk quite a bit. So I may have to just work around that element. And I noticed when I was trying to pile it on, some amazing little thing started to happen, was that I started to like actually the intensity of the color that was coming out. I hadn't intended on it, but there we go. So now I'm putting more of the purple up in there and the blue. It hasn't hidden it completely. There's still, like, if you're looking, you would probably walk up and say, what? There's something there, like what is that on there? So what I have to do is just put a lot more of the chalk on there to make it look like it's all intentional. But what I noticed is that as I started to pile it on, I didn't mind it. And depending on where you're standing right now on the camera, it's going to have a certain look to it, but standing here looking with the naked eye, you can see there's something going on there. So now that I had so much purple on the other side, I decided maybe I should put a little on this side too. Balance things out a bit. Do I want some blue? I put some blue in there before on the bottom. Maybe I'll put some on the top. I hadn't really intended to do that initially. Oops. So I'm just going to keep on loading some purple on here. So I notice that if I have some sort of loose line thing, it totally obliterates the problem, because it's enough of a distraction, creates enough of an optical illusion that it completely gets rid of the problem. So I'm thinking maybe what I'll do is just leave some of these squiggly lines in there and use them like hair ringlets. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the ringlet thing. So if I use this like hair, it doesn't bother me. It kind of looks like it's meant to be right over that area. Completely takes care of the problem. And one of the things that I had been thinking about when I stopped working on the last session was that I needed to introduce a few more different sort of line quality things. Everything had been sort of softly blended and it was like too much of the same thing. So I remember thinking at the time, I've got some of the dog hair like you see here in the ear with a little more sort of sketchy lines, and I was thinking actually that I should try and introduce something into the hair or something, and lo and behold, that's what happened. Now I've got another color purple hair and I'm just going to experiment with this and see if that works. If it works, great. Do I like it? Nope. Take it off, blend it in. A little more purple in the hair. And I gotta admit, it's getting pretty purple around here, but you know what? I don't mind it at all. In the context of the whole picture with some of the bright oranges, it actually works really well. And it also gives me the break in line quality that I feel like I needed for the piece. And this side over here, I think looks better with blue rather than purple. Yep. A few more in a few other places. Rub it where it looks too obvious. Just if it looks a little too much, just pat it down with your rag. And there you have it, folks. Voila, problem is solved. So now I've got this great mass of purple here, very intense, a little bit more picked over here, and you know what? I actually like it. I'm going, hey, that's the kind of color that I was looking for. And what happens is this bright purple is playing off of this bright orangey over here, the yellowy orange, and the yellow over here, and therefore it can handle it. And the fact that it clearly is very purple hair, it doesn't bother me. Like, it has this childlike quality to it and it doesn't bother me. And just by piling on this purple on top of that big greasy catastrophe, it has solved the problem. But not only that, it's turned out to be a happy accident as well. I like all the purple. I'm happy with it. It's giving the vibrancy to the piece that I actually was looking for without getting into this heavy-duty pink. And so I'm happy with it. And I just discovered something, and this is what I noticed when I was getting into this kind of medium years ago when I started doing it. I started off being very conservative. Everything was very muted and very, very soft. But I noticed within about 3, 4, 5 drawings, I would get a little bolder. Basically what it was is I did one and I realized that I had to push my values. And once I pushed my values, I realized that, the intensity, I liked it a lot better. And so I started making bolder moves with my color. And what I think I have just discovered here as well is that I really like the idea of going in with these chalk pastels. I've been using these Carbothello pastel pencils because of the sort of delicacy that I work with. But now, with these Rembrandts, it actually, I may end up going in another direction. And it's interesting because I used to do things like this years and years and years ago when I was in my 20s. And then, I just got off on another thing and didn't return back into it. But I am liking this a lot. So I think I'm going to pull all those pastels out and I'm going to start experimenting with this in the future and doing a lot more of this. And having this pastel on this colored background with this particular paper, which I just love, this 300 Arches is like the best paper in the world. And then being able to work with these drawings and still be able to do that and get the vibrancy of color, it's very attractive to me. I like that idea. And so I probably will get into that quite a bit. So there we go. Take that. And catastrophe averted, moving right along, picture's been salvaged, and away we go. And if you would like to develop the skills to create beautiful and realistic portraits, you can. Simply go to the Patreon link at the end of this video and find out how. Also, if you would like to know about the specific materials that I use in this video, please go to the materials link in the description below. So to recap, mistakes are just an inevitable part of the creative process. And rather than beat yourself up and get all bummed out about it, pull back, reevaluate, and use this as an opportunity to experiment, grow, and learn new things. Personally, I found that mastery is a journey of the mind. It's a mindset. And one of the things that I always tell my students in class is that you have to get very clear when you're standing in front of your work who the boss is and who's in control. The work is not in control of you. You are in control of the work. That's how you're going to develop a can-do mentality and how to overcome your limitations and become better. And if you think you can or can't, you're absolutely right. If you have to start a piece over again, it's called practice. Please share your stories and don't forget to like and subscribe for more transformational videos coming your way. Thanks very much for watching, and remember, stay creative. This is your time to express yourself, and we'll see you in the next video.